Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3.
Three. All right, we're going to get started here. This is a board meeting, a regular board meeting of the Hamilton County Board of County Commissioners, July 17th, 2025. We've got a large audience today, so welcome to all of you that are here to participate in our meeting. We're glad to have you. We start our meetings with silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join us for silent prayer. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to start with introductions on the dais. Starting with you, Quinn.
Quinn Falter, Executive Assistant.
Christy Rischel, Assistant Clerk.
Leslie Hervey, Clerk to the Board.
Stephanie Summerall Dumas, Commissioner.
Alicia Reese, Hamilton County Commissioner.
Jeff Aludo, County Administrator.
Patrick Dressing, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney.
And I'm County Commissioner Denise Driehaus. Again, welcome to all those who are here. So we've got a special group of guests here today from the cadet class from Forest Park. Eddie Hawkins is here. He's the director of the program. But before we get to that, I do want to, of course, recognize all of you cadets that are here. I got a chance to speak to one of the young men who's part of the program, and it sounds really exciting. You're learning about public service, and you've made this county commission meeting one of your stops. So we're thrilled to have you. But before we get to Eddie, I would like to turn it over to my colleagues for comments.
Thank you. I think you said it all. Anyone who's working with our youth, I applaud you. And that you're trying to help them to lead a more positive life. So thank you so much, Mr. Hawkins. And thanks, and I see a young lady over there who's also a cadet, so that's even better. But thank you all for choosing us to come here today. And you can come up when Commissioner Reese speaks.
Commissioner Reese.
Thank you very much. Wanted to thank Eddie Hawkins, former Cincinnati police officer, and we honored actually his cadet program last year, but it's so exciting this year that it has expanded because, as you know, in Hamilton County, we represent almost 49 municipalities. So we have villages, townships, and cities. And so to know that now it has expanded to Forest Park, I think is phenomenal. Eddie Hawkins does a lot with our youth and has HBCU tours and has resulted in scholarships. And so at a time when people say, what is going on with our young people? There are so many people like Eddie Hawkins that is stepping up, helping to provide opportunities to our young people and jobs and careers. And I'm so happy that we're able to highlight him and the cadets because a lot of times when all these cameras in here, I know y'all here for something else, but turn these cameras on these young people that's doing something positive because we always say we don't have time, we ran out of time, we don't have space. My thing is let's focus on the 90+% of young people that's doing things right so that everybody starts following these young people. And I think that is a critical component, and I'm gonna keep fighting for exposure of the positive young people. So thank you to the board for this today, and I think this is so important for our board to take this moment.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So Forest Park cadets, how did you end up in Forest Park?
So, retired last year from Cincinnati after 25 and a half years, and Chief Hill, who's a personal friend of mine, current fire chief of Forest Park, had been trying to get a cadet program out in Forest Park for years. He had spoken to us several times about how we conducted our program in Cincinnati. He had come down and shadowed us. So upon my retirement, I had a real long conversation with him and the police chief about what they wanted. And they really wanted a program of police and fire. So I kind of went and thought about, what does service look like for our generation? Does our generation truly know what service looks like? So I went back with them with the brainchild of how about we do a program with a foundation of service as a whole? So how about we talk about police? How about we talk about fire? How about we talk about government? And how about we talk about public works? Because those are the two entities that always gets left out. So you think about government, especially county government, who really knows what county government does? There's so much that goes on that being unaware and being uneducated is probably the thing that hurts our young people the most. So having an opportunity to come into these spaces and speak to you all and engage you all on these platforms is something that probably has never been done that I can see of anywhere. And then talking about public works, the individuals who keep our streets clean, who make sure that the trash is picked up. So something else. So these young people have a foundation grounded in service. So not only is it police, it's fire, it's government and public works. So thereby, when they decide to what career would I like to pursue, now they have 4 choices as opposed to one or the other. So for me, it was more or less an opportunity to continue to pour into young people. I appreciate you all constantly trying to get programming for young people. This just gives an opportunity for them to get out here and really figure out what they would like to do. And just based on, this is year 2. Last year we had 10, this year we have 16. We're gonna go back to the drawing board because we had to not allow about 25 or 30 young people who were interested. So maybe a county program is what we need to start looking into, where a program where we're pulling from the county as a whole and, with some additional services. So I think we're on to something. I appreciate the support that I always get from Stumis and Ms. Reese and Ms. Treehouse. So for us, it's just an opportunity to continue to do what we're supposed to do, pay it forward, and then build our communities and our young people.
Great, awesome.
Well, great. Well, thank you. Could the cadets please stand up? We'd like to recognize you.
Get a picture. Can we get a picture?
All right, we're going to get a quick photo.
Yeah. What do we do?
We can stand and then they can come
Behind us. Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome.
Come on through.
Yeah, you can come on down that way a little
She's going
bit.
to ask you to balance.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
That's close.
Yeah, one more. All right, thank you. Thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it. Enjoy your day. So you're all welcome to stay if you'd like. But we understand if you have other things to do. Going to the courthouse, all right. Oh, very good. All right. Enjoy your day. Thanks for stopping through. We appreciate it.
I'm so sorry, Commissioner.
All right. I'm going to move on to the approval of the minutes. I'm going to make a motion. We approve of the minutes of the previous session.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes?
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Thank you. We've got a couple of different presentations today, but we also have a public hearing from the engineer's office. So that is scheduled for 1:15 or 10:15. I keep saying that. So we're going to move to that real quick. I know we've got some public comment related to that. So from the engineer's office, Eric is not with us today, but Jim Hetzel is, and Fred Schlimm is here. So if you could walk us through these two items, they are under public hearings, commissioners, on the agenda on the second page. Thank you.
Good morning, commissioners. My name's Jim Hetzel. I serve as the deputy surveyor under the Hamilton County Engineer's Office, and I'm here today to speak on the public hearing of the proposed vacation portions of unimproved fee right-of-way for Maple Drive and Cedar Drive in Sims Township under Section 5553 of the Ohio Revised Code. This was originally petitioned to the board on March 6th of this year by petitioners C.J. Carr, Ann Griesdorn, and Trevor Minton. The petitioners have prepared and submitted survey plats and legal descriptions of the proposed vacated areas for review by the engineer's office. And I believe in item 1 of the regular agenda is the engineer's report for this. I would like to, if I'm able, to just read it now. And it's honorable board, we have evaluated the requests for the 2 vacations forwarded by the board to this office for review on March 6th, 2025. Utility companies in the township have been notified. Any condition raised by the utility companies in the engineer's office have been forwarded to the petitioners and have been addressed. The engineer's office finds the survey plat and legal descriptions to be acceptable and recommends the board approve these vacations. So with that, I can open it up to any other people who have comments.
Thank you. Commissioners, with your deference, I'm going to call on the individual that's here to speak to this, and it's C.J. Carr. Please come forward. You've got the pleasure of the floor for 2 minutes.
Good morning. My name is C.J. Carr. I am one of the petitioners and also here on behalf of other petitioners, just supporting this issue and asking for the board's support in the vacation of these 2 sections of right-of-way.
Okay.
Any questions or anything other than that?
No, thank you. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
So I think before we move on to, if there are no questions or comments, item number 1 on the regular agenda pertains to this. So we need to close the hearing, correct? And then we can move to the item, is that correct? All right, so let's close the hearing related to this issue. And I will then, let's take a vote about closing the hearing.
Make a motion.
I'm making a motion to close the hearing.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Thank you. And then I'm going to move that we approve of the regular agenda item number 1.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, we've also got a hearing on a municipal road fund for 2025. Please walk us through this one.
Thank you very much. I'm Fred Slim. I'm the funding coordinator for the Hamilton County Engineers Office. The purpose of this hearing is to allow the public and municipalities the opportunity to speak about the program and the projects proposed for funding. This forum promotes transparency and encourages stakeholder engagement in how we allocate public infrastructure dollars. The Municipal Road Fund, or MRF, is financed through a portion of the permissive license fees collected by Hamilton County. This program exemplifies the kind of intergovernmental cooperation we strive for by leveraging county-level resources to improve local infrastructure in a cost-effective and practical way. For 2025, we are presenting 13 projects proposed by the municipalities across Hamilton County. These projects were selected based on a competitive scoring process which evaluates factors such as total project cost, percent of local or other matching funds, and a project's readiness to proceed. It's important to note that all submissions were subject to rigorous review, confirming each project's eligibility, verifying that the requested funds would be spent on roadway improvements, and that the projects can meet their schedules as stated in their applications. The engineer is recommending that we fund all the projects that were submitted this year, 13 projects. In the past, we would have to stop our allocation annually. The fund has an $850,000 or more surplus at this time, so we are recommending that we fund all of the projects. We're finding that some of the tax revenue from license plates fees are coming in a little bit higher than we may have anticipated. We feel that as a benefit to the county, have all these needed projects constructed while working within the fund's budgetary constraints. Our oversight doesn't stop at award. Disbursements are tracked, and we ensure accountability through follow-up documentation. Rather than simply listing all the projects, we've prepared a handout that includes a complete breakdown of the municipalities' project titles, total project costs, MRF contributions, and the percentage of matching funds. I believe that was placed on your desk this morning. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions or hear any feedback from the board.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. It is good to know that we've got enough funding here to respond to the requests from the community. And as you say, they're all over the county, including Indian Hill, Reading, Deer Park, Woodlawn, City of Cincinnati, Wyoming, Forest Park. So thank you for the presentation. Really appreciate that. Commissioners, are there any questions or comments?
Just a comment, a general comment is that I really appreciate the engineer's office and how you leverage the funds that we have to get the most bang out our dollars. So I certainly appreciate that, led by Eric Beck.
Thank you. Commissioner Reese?
No questions.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the presentation. I'm going to make a motion that we close this public hearing.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. We are going to move on to our first presentation. This one is related to Paycor Stadium and the lease. We're getting an update from the administrator, and we're welcoming public comment at this meeting. So we'll get the presentation first, and then we'll move on to public comment.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. I'm happy to provide a brief presentation this morning just to set the stage for public comments today around the an update on the Paycor Stadium lease. I'll try to keep this as brief as possible, but I'm hoping that some of my questions some of my presentation may help with some questions that folks may have on this. So I don't know, Christy, if we can go ahead and tee up the presentation. Thank you. Let me sure this works. There we go. First, by way of background, as most know, the original County Bengals lease was signed back in 1997. I don't think it's any secret that this board, prior boards, have all indicated that there were provisions of that lease that were, let's just say, problematic to the county and to the community. Whether or not that was a market deal at the time, we know that boards have discussed the various terms of the lease over the years. It had been pointed out by the Wall Street Journal that it was a, quote, risky deal for taxpayers. But the bottom line is that the term of that lease expires, the base term of that lease expires in 2026. And the county's been preparing for the opportunity to implement something better for the community while keeping the team here in the county. The team does have the right, however, to extend the current lease for 2 years at their discretion, and they can do that 5 times, provided they provide notice by a specific date. So over the past several years, the county and the team have been working together on the building blocks of a new lease, one that is consistent with today's NFL market and which works for the team and works better for the county. The first of those building blocks was the completion of a renovation plan to modernize the stadium, make it more relevant for football fans, make it more attractive for all events that will use what is, at the end of the day, the county's largest entertainment asset. The original renovation plan, which was developed and presented publicly back in April of 2024, totaled around $1.3 billion. That plan has been modified back to a renovation plan that is closer to $470 million, and that's before we consider opportunities for state funding, which we still believe is very possible. The county and the team began formal lease discussions early in 2025 with the goal of finalizing a lease and beginning substantive stadium renovations in 2026. The team had a trigger date of June 30th, whereby they had to provide notice as to whether or not they would be extending the current lease for 2 years. The county and team both agreed to push that trigger date out to August 1st while we finalized lease negotiations. We also signed a letter of intent on June 30th outlining the major economic terms of a new market deal between the county and the team. I'm not going to go into real detail on this slide other than just to say there's been a lot of work going on over the years on this issue, going back to April of 2022 when we completed the first facility condition assessment report that was one of the building blocks of this new lease. But at every step, tried to take actions that are targeted at improving the lease, moderating the financial impact to the county, and securing the team's future here in the community. So before I go into any more detail about the lease itself, I do want to provide some of the financial basics of this deal. First, based upon some comments that I have heard in the community, I want to make one thing really clear, and that is that voters approved a half-cent sales tax back in 1996 for 2 stadia on the riverfront. That tax has been in place since then and currently generates just north of $100 million a year. It is the only source of revenue that is used for maintaining the stadium and Great American Ballpark. From a public perspective, it is those dollars and those dollars alone that provide for this upkeep. The renovation plan that we're discussing, all of it funded from that revenue source. So there are no new taxes associated with this deal. The board has said that. I've said that at previous meetings, but I've continued to hear some commentary in the community to the contrary. I just want to make sure that that is clear. Again, everything, debt service, operations, maintenance, capital, property tax relief programs, which the board has prioritized, all of those are paid from that 1/2 cent sales tax approved back in 1996. Additionally, the money that goes to the stadiums does not pull from the funds that support the basic core needs of the county. Those core needs, which the board talks about every meeting, we'll talk about a lot of them today. We'll hear it prominently during budget time. Public safety, development, social services, the court system, board of elections, 911, all the core basic missions of the county, those are funded from separate revenue streams, a separate sales tax, your property taxes, various fees, funds from the state, etc. So I saw some comments where there were some comments that money shouldn't go to the stadiums at the expense of other basic services, and that the stadiums may have been siphoning off money from, say, road improvements, road repairs, that type of thing. That's not happening. The dollars used for the stadium are those dollars that are expressly approved by the voters for that purpose back in 96. So in terms of some detail on the lease, several weeks ago, our negotiating team presented on a letter of intent that included the new term and the basic economic terms of what we believe to be a new and better lease between the county and the Bengals at Paycor Stadium. The letter of intent contained some of the big picture economic terms: the term of the lease, stadium renovations, the initial capital contributions, rent, urban design standards, stadium utilization, etc. That same negotiating team is currently negotiating some of the finer points of the lease as well. Everything from an insurance to management and maintenance responsibilities is continuing to be hammered out in that lease. But let's walk through some of the major terms here. First of all, the lease term under the proposed deal is 11 years, beginning in the 2025 season. It contains 5 two-year extensions, meaning the total possible lease term is 21 years. The deal as proposed includes a capital contribution of $350 million from the county and $120 million from the team. The team's contribution under this deal is increasing significantly when compared to the prior lease. For perspective, just that one act, the act of lowering the public contribution down from 94% previously to 75% in this deal, saves the public roughly $90 million. So if we were to have kept the county's percentage at the same level as it was back in 96, we would not be able to afford this next renovation. The county's percentage of funding also falls significantly in this deal, and that's even before we talk about state funding. I did want to just provide a little bit of context here. There's no mistaking that $350 million is still a significant amount of money. However, we also have to remember that this is the county's largest asset that has to be upkept and maintained. But for perspective, here's some of the other both new builds and renovations in terms of the cost of those. I think one of the things that we need to keep in mind, and it should be emphasized, and the board has done a really good job of emphasizing this, is the fact that we have done a really good job of keeping this stadium up to date and keeping it in good condition. And as such, we are not forced into the position of demolishing the stadium and building a new stadium, which, as you can see, is averaging right now, with the 3 new ones that are being proposed and built, $2.1 billion. And when you look at some of the other recent deals in the NFL, you'll see that our project would be one of the more pragmatic renovation programs in years. You can see Baltimore in at $600 million, 100% of that publicly funded. Carolina, $800 million, 81% of that publicly financed. In Jacksonville, which is I would call that a large renovation, $1.4 billion, 55% of that publicly funded. So under this, the letter of intent, the new lease, what is changing? And I'll walk through these specifically quickly, but there are a lot of things that are changing under this lease to make this a smarter and better deal for the community. First, under the original lease, the team had not paid true base rent since year 9 of the lease. To be fair, they did pay some additional rent as part of a capital project that was done several years ago. But under the proposed lease, they will pay market rent for the entire term of the lease that will escalate with inflation, and the county will use those dollars to directly offset the operations and maintenance of the stadium itself. Under the old lease, the county's capital liability was essentially unlimited. Under the proposed lease, the county's obligations, both the renovation costs and the annual CapEx, will be capped, which significantly minimizes our risk and allows us to better plan for the future. For example, under the old lease, there were construction cost increases that the county had to absorb. Under this new lease, if there are construction cost overruns, the project either gets resized or the team has the option of picking those costs up, which is an enormous change from the prior deal. The old lease had provisions whereby the county would reimburse the team for game day expenses. Those terms are not included in the proposed lease. Under the old lease, there were provisions which allowed the team to request stadium improvements at certain times if those enhancements were present in other stadia throughout the country. Those provisions could have cost the county tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. Under the proposed lease, those provisions are eliminated. So, for example, under the current lease, if a certain number of stadiums across the country had a new type of replay system or something, the county would be in a position of having to fund that upgrade. That does not exist under the proposed terms. Under the old lease, the team had the ability to essentially hold up development on the banks based upon specific height criteria for new buildings. Under the new lease, the county and the team will agree to accept the recommendations of an urban design consultant on new development standards at the banks. At the end of the day, what ultimately goes into those new lots down at the banks should be governed by solid urban planning, and both the team and the county agree with that. One thing we've consistently heard is that the public desires more activity and programming at the stadium. Under the proposed lease, the county will now control the booking of large events at the stadium, where the team currently manages that function. And in year 7 of the lease, the county and the team will sit down to begin the discussion of the needs and future of Paycor Stadium. Finally, commissioners, most NFL agreements today include some sort of community benefits agreement. The old lease did not. Under this lease, the county and team will agree on a community benefits agreement that ensures inclusion in the project, workforce protections, and other community benefits, and we're currently working on the details of that document. Commissioners, that concludes my formal presentation. I would just close by saying I want to thank the board for its guidance on this. As I said when I presented a couple of weeks ago, without solid policy guidance on this in terms of what we're trying to accomplish, it's very difficult to get this type of work done. It's very difficult in and of itself to negotiate a deal of this magnitude and with this degree of public spotlight. But I think this board has succeeded in keeping the public educated. We've released key negotiating documents, some of which we've done in real time, publicly presenting on negotiating terms, some of which were in progress, discussing the state ask publicly, discussing renovation plans and capital projects publicly. So I just want to thank the board for that. At the end of the day, I think the guiding principle that the negotiating team has stuck to is to make this a better deal for the taxpayers of this community than what currently exists. I think we've succeeded in providing the board that alternative. Ultimately, the board will be the arbiter of that as you consider the lease that we put in front of you. But I look forward to further conversations, certainly look forward to public input, questions, et cetera. So, commissioners, thank you. I turn it back over to you, Madam President.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff, for the presentation. So, commissioners, as you know, we've got a number of people here to speak to this issue, so I'm going to move straight into public comment, if that's okay. We've got Craig Johnson, and as you move forward, please come to the podium, speak clearly. We've got interpreters in the back of the room that are trying to capture what you're saying, and everyone will have the pleasure of the floor for 2 minutes. So, Craig Johnson, please come forward. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I just want to commend the commission on getting a fantastic deal for the county and the team working with the commission. And to remind everyone about that last point that he put up there, you saved a 10-year open commitment of the county, and everyone needs to keep that in mind all the time. And this is a great deal compared to other cities across the country and counties. I just want to thank you for doing such a fantastic job.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Commissioner?
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to make sure we have clarity. What was presented, we don't have a deal. It's not a lease. This is a recommendation. I just want to I don't want anybody leaving here saying we got a lease and we got a deal. So I know people have gotten confused with some of the articles. Thank you.
Well, to be clear also, we've agreed to lease terms. We don't have the lease in front of us yet, but we have agreed to terms with the Bengals related to some of the larger issues that were presented by Administrator Aludo. So I feel like that's what people are commenting to. The next speaker is Matthew Robinson. Welcome.
Good to see you guys again. I appreciate you guys' efforts for ongoing negotiation with the Bengals. And they appreciated me for coming out the other time when you guys finalized that letter of intent a couple weeks ago. And, I just want to talk about how I feel like the guys are doing a good job as far as putting together these lease negotiations. And I feel like you guys, the state people are going to be able to benefit more from this term than the last term. And I feel like, you guys have good conversations going on right now, and maybe you guys could urge the Bengals ownership to maybe switch up the logo or stuff like that, or the stadium graphics too. I know you guys have more ownership of the stadium as far as control and stuff in regards to that this time around. Going with this next lease, and I feel like I think I'm glad that people are coming to the commissioners meeting more. And last time I came was my first time I came here, but it's good to represent Houday Nation and be able to speak on their behalf and all. But I feel like if they need to come out and say something, they can keep coming to these meetings. I know you guys are still a while away from signing the official the lease agreement. It's just a letter of intent, and any way you guys can help generate revenue is for the stadium is any ideas out that's good. I'm not sure exactly who owns the practice fields and stuff like that, but I know as far as the stadium goes, I feel like being able to have more control and that has been very good for you guys. And that's pretty much all I have to say. And I'm sure the Vice President of the United States will be very happy with all the efforts you guys put in.
Oh my. Well, all right then. It's not weighed in, to be fair. So you continue to be the most stylish person that comes in front of us. So thank you for being here. You're styling again today.
Yeah, thank you.
Looking good. All right, thank you. Our next speaker is Mark Thomas. Welcome.
Thank you. I just want to say, we appreciate the board doing all they've done to try and get this deal done. We appreciate you guys working with the Bengals and the Bengals working with you. As a lifelong resident of Hamilton County, we need the Bengals in Hamilton County. We need Hamilton County as a whole. I feel the team brings a lot to the county, and hopefully this deal gets done and we can see them continue to be here for years to come. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Our next speaker is Kent Evans. Welcome.
I appreciate the fandom. I really do. I'm not a fan of the Bengals. I have another NFL team I favor. So I understand the fandom part. But this is a bad, bad deal. And I was caught your description, Ms. Dumas, about the leveraging engineering department money. And after this kind of deal, I'm sorry, it's all gone away. And it's either insincere or it just doesn't, it's not equitable in the way you process your favoring this deal. I'd say wait for 2 years. Why not? What could go wrong? In the last TV contract, the Bengals cleared $130 million each year. That's after salaries are paid. I can go through the math. Notice we don't have anyone from the Bengals here answering questions on what their revenue is. So if they get $130 million a year, that goes into their bank account. That's after all expenses are paid. It makes no sense. Commissioner, administrator. And right now, the new TV contract is unpublicized. Oh, that's funny. They might say that they lead what is a private company, therefore have the advantage of not being protected against public questioning. Well, that's too bad for us who wish to question them. Quit claim you should consider. You would have to discuss it with your legal representatives, see if that's possible. You'd be saving the maintenance costs. All that stuff would be going back into the county coffers. And you're giving them the stadium.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Our next speaker is Bengal Jim Foster. I didn't know that was part of your official title, but that's what my card says.
It's my real name. Much better we be with you guys right now down tailgate having a drink. So, but Jeff, I really appreciate the preview you did for us. I thought that was very insightful. There's some stuff in there I didn't even know about. So thanks for doing that. Stephanie, Denise, Alicia, I can't imagine the stuff that you guys have gone through, fighting through this deal. I know there's been concessions on both sides. I'm a lifelong Cincinnati and West Side Cincinnati. I've been here my whole life. Love the city more than anything. So, to me, this study that you guys, I think, had University of Cincinnati put out, there were some numbers in there that were kind of eye-opening to me. $1 billion in economic impact from this stadium in the Bengals. I didn't have any idea it was that much of an impact to the city and this region. Without that Bengals stadium, I truly believe there's probably not a Cincinnati music festival, Luke Combs, Taylor Swift. I don't know if those concerts come here without that stadium, my opinion. The overwhelming silent majority of this region, 100%, supports the deal that is in place right now. I just would ask, don't let the silent minority, an individual or a small group, sway you in any other way. I just don't want anybody derailing this deal. I know that you guys still have some work to do. And you quantified a lot of things, Jeff. What I have trouble quantifying myself is, in 2021, the top 10 most viewed programs in the entire country, 4 of the top 10 were Bengal games. Talking about our city, giving us good TV time on that, which I think somehow we got to be able to quantify that. I don't know how to do that. Our tailgate, we'll have several thousand people at a tailgate. We have a giant map, and people take a pen and put in that map where they come in town from. Over 5 years, we have had all 50 states represented on that map, hundreds and hundreds of cities, 28 different countries. People come in town to watch the game. They don't live here. That's where they come in town from. And these people just don't come in for a weekend. They're here a lot for weeks on end. So, am I done? I got cut off already?
Yeah, you did. I'm sorry about that.
Anyway, one more thing. I have friends that can't be here today. They moved here from Chicago, Lisa and Mark Moran, because of the Cincinnati Bengals. So we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Our next speaker is Josh, I think it's Isle. I-S-L-E, perhaps? There we go. I don't know if I... So I didn't hear what you said. Okay, very good. Please come forward and introduce yourself so we've got you on record.
Of course. Hi, my name is Georgiana Isles. I just wanted to speak a little bit, and I'm so thankful that we are able to. So good afternoon, commissioners, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm proud to say that my husband Josh and I, we just became Hamilton County residents as of a week ago. But Cincinnati has been in our hearts for a long time. Josh grew up here in Over the Rhine. And when we met nearly a decade ago, it was the city and the Cincinnati Bengals that brought us together. Because of our deep love of the team and this community, we made the commute of over 1,000 miles with our 2 dogs in tow to get here and to make Cincinnati our home. I even applied to graduate programs just so I could have a reason to tell my mom that I'm going to Cincinnati. And so we're starting that journey. I'm starting that journey here in September. Josh runs one of the largest Bengals fan groups in any social media platform. Through it, we've met countless other families and couples who travel across North America, just like Jim said. We've met people from all over the world who, through the power of this amazing team in this city. I understand the concerns around the public's investment, but I thank the Commissioner's Office for the hard work in shaping a deal that works not just for the team, but for the people of Cincinnati. I think that means the most. The Bengals aren't just the football team. They're a part of this city's identity, and for families like ours, they've been life-changing. Thank you again for your time and for making the Bengals stay right here where they belong. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Thanks, both of you, for being here. We've got one more speaker's card. I cannot read the first name here, but the last name is, I think, Wallace. Africa. Okay. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us. I just want to just give my 2 cents. I appreciate everything that you all are doing. I have been a Bengals fan since 1984. I've been a season ticket holder since 2018, and I've seen the highs and lows of this team. And the only thing I just ask is that when you were going back, that you give everything into consideration about what this team means to this city. That's my 2 cents. Thank you.
These have been the most succinct comments we've ever had. Everybody's below their time. Is there anybody else here to speak to this issue? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. We missed you. All right. So let me introduce you here real quick. Is it Mark Smith?
That's I.
Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for meeting. So, the Bengals may just be a game for some, but it's a way of life for others. December 14th, 2003 was the first time I attended a tailgate. Like most things I enjoy doing, my dad took me. It's one of the greatest times I ever had. At home with my family, on the beach in Jamaica, and at a Bengals game right down the street are my favorite places to be. Part of a tailgate. We've raised almost $1 million for local charities. I've met people from 6 different continents, still hoping to meet that Antarctica Bengals fan one day. But it's part of my life. My family will tell you, they know come Sunday, Dad's watching the Bengals game. It's the only time I don't really get bothered or asked to do anything. Those are 4 magical hours of my life. We also travel all across the United States to attend games. You meet different people. It's just, like I said, it's just a game to some, but a way of life for others. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Is there anybody else that we missed? Okay. Thank you all for being here. Really appreciate the comments. Commissioners, before we move on, do you have any comments or anything you'd like to add?
Certainly. Are you?
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for all the comments, first of all. And I want to thank Jeff and the administration for working on this so hard, and also the other consultants that we have to try to pull this agreement together. I think, Jeff, when you mentioned about for the renovation, it was $1.3 billion, and now it's only $470 million. That was because of our commitment. And also the team said there were certain things they didn't want. And that's fine if it doesn't interfere with the essential fundamental operation of the Bengals. So that's a big deal that we went from 1.3 billion to 470 million. And also I wanted to comment about, since we had opened it up for our residents to call in and to get on our website to give comments, just a little summary of where our comments were on the website. We had 58 that were against, 38 for the lease, 3 talked about property tax rollback, and then 7 had just general comments. So about 106 comments, and then I received some myself via phone calls, in person, and emails, and on the street. So maybe 150 comments, which when we talk about 830,000 people in our county, of course the babies can't say anything, but it's not the amount of comments that we got, but the quality of comments and the fact that we opened this up as a vehicle, once again, for people to express themselves. And of course, I respect every comment for or against. So just the fact that your voice was heard was important to me. I'm just going to say a few words. We've been advocating for the people, and let me speak for myself. I've been advocating for the people. This process was not an easy one, but I was committed to a better lease. There's no way, and I said at the beginning that we're going to have 96% residents paying and 4% for the team. I was committed to that. I read all the comments that came in. Like, as I said, I mentioned all the comments. A large majority of comments against talked about, why are these billionaires not getting more money? They're billionaires. Why should we help them to make more money? Well, you've heard in the report that they are giving more than they ever have given, and our people, our residents, are getting more than they ever have. No new taxes, increased use of the stadium by the community, receiving rent from the team, keeping the property rebate options open, and to remain financially viable. We may not be able to give the highest PTR as we want to, but we made sure to keep that as an option. I want to make it very clear that I'm not here to punish people because they became billionaires or millionaires. That's not for me to do. The fact that the team was a recipient of a sweetheart deal and they were benefactors of that deal is something that the team is going to have to deal with, not me. I'm not here to punish them because they made lots of money. I'm not one that goes back, I move forward. And I'm here to say, not again during this length of this lease will that happen. I'm fighting for you as citizens, but I'm also fighting for me. I'm a citizen. I'd never agree with anything that would be detrimental to any of you or for me. Sometimes people forget that even though we're commissioners up here, we are also citizens. No one is infallible, including myself, but I did my best to represent all the citizens to my best ability, and that's all I can do. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Reese?
I want to thank everyone who came down, everyone who submitted their opinion regarding this issue, but I also want to thank everyone when I was running for re-election that I got a chance to talk to throughout all 49 municipalities. I think it's important, I always say that, just full transparency. I have always been a fan of the Bengals on the downside and the upside, sometimes in the old stadium when nobody was there. And I think Bengals Gym, we know each other there. As the county commissioner, though, I have to put the fan hat over here because now I'm elected for the entire county of taxpayers. And I have to look at all 49 municipalities, whether you like football, don't like football, go to a game or not go to the game. We do have a red stadium, and I thought that was a major asset to the community, but I just heard in the presentation that this stadium is the biggest asset of the county, but we still have a red stadium. We have 3 stadiums here. We have a Major League Baseball stadium. We have an NFL stadium. And then we have a Major League Soccer stadium. So we're blessed to have these 3 stadiums. I don't think the question is if anyone likes the Bengals or not like the Bengals. I think we're down to a business deal. It's just like when the Bengals go in with some of your favorite players. They got to sit out. They got to deal with the lawyers. They got to deal with their agents. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it don't. We got a #1 draft pick that don't seem like it's working out. So now we down to the business side, and the NFL commissioner, he's all about the business. He wants the TV rights. He wants the rights to the outfit, to the uniforms. They've got rules. It's a business. And so while, I think we do a fantastic job, we got great fans all over the country, but the reality is only certain people got to pay for everything. If I'm from Dayton, Kentucky, I don't pay for the stadium, I pay for my ticket to go. If I'm from Dayton, Ohio, if I'm from Orlando, Florida, I don't pay for the maintenance and the upkeep, and I'm not on the hook. So we've got to look at the last lease that we had, which is still the lease. We got to deal with facts. It's still the lease. We don't have a new lease. We under the 1997 lease. And what was voted on was to extend this 1997 lease, still current today, until we get a replacement lease. And I want to make sure, because people felt like we were not transparent, not us, because we wasn't here, but the last group of commissioners were not transparent. In 1997, voters went to 1996, they went and voted for 2 stadiums, but they didn't vote for this lease. They were high-fiving, we were jumping, we got it done, and they were promised 30%. If you didn't care about football, you as a homeowner could benefit because you're supposed to get a 30% rollback. And we were high-fiving. The mistake we made is we didn't read the fine print. So now we're in 2025, and we can't make that mistake again. We can't high-five on a letter of intent. We can't high-five on a memorandum. Letter of intent, look it up. It's unenforceable. Anybody that's a lawyer, but you can Google it now, so everybody can be a lawyer. It says it's unenforceable, it's not binding, and it's not a deal. So to write and have all these big headlines to the bloggers, to we gonna get some of the ESPN. I'm in PR, so I know a PR thing when I see one, because that's what I'm in. That's my field. We had everything saying we got a deal done, we got a lease. I was on a live television, one of the news people. They said, "What? We ain't got no lease?" This here says resolution authorizing the county administrator to execute a lease agreement between Hamilton County and the Bengals, Inc. That's 1997. Now, 2005, what was voted on? In 2005, what everybody said we got something, this is what was voted on. The only thing that's been voted on, resolution to authorize negotiation of a new lease agreement with the Cincinnati Bengals. These 2 things are different. They're not the same. One is a lease, 1997. One says enter a negotiation, which we thought we was already doing. This is the inter-negotiation. That's what we voted on. So to high-five and say we got it done and we did it, that's not true. That's like saying we scored a touchdown and we never went to the end zone. This one in the end zone, touchdown. This one, we got the football and we on the 50-yard line getting ready to kick the ball to the other team. 2 different things. So we're just now getting to try to negotiate this. Now, where the taxpayer got screwed is on this. They even voted somebody out of office. Got them out of there. Because 1987, 96, we were high-fiving. We got a deal. And then the people said, wait a minute. When I had to read, now look, when you get into this contract, Board of Commissioners, Hamilton County and Cincinnati Bengals, May 29, 1997, you got to deal with Article 1, definitions. You got Article 2, lease premises. You got to deal with Article 3, ownership and interest. You got to deal with Article 4, construction of the project. What goes on with that? You got to deal with Article 5. What's the term of the lease? You got to deal with Article 6. And rent, they did rent. Now they stopped paying rent, did a 10 years, and then we did I think, adjustment, but they paid $1.7 million in 1997 rent dollar value. We talking about $1 million in 2025 dollar value. So to say that we paying market rent, is it? I need my real estate people to come here. Is it really market? Because they paid $1.7 million in the original lease, and then went down to $1.6 million, and then $1.5 million. Now eventually they got down to no money when people stopped looking. They went down to no money, no rent. So is it really market? I need to bring in my evaluators of what's the square footage, how much is. That's what you do in a business deal. But rent is in here, base rent, number 24 in this original lease. Manner of time of the payment tells it. Then it has a whole section on taxes, how they ain't got to pay no taxes. Real estate taxes, responsibility of the taxpayer. We'd love to be tax-free, wouldn't we? Then there's another go, Article 8, use of the stadium, the naming rights, the ticket rights, the suite rights. All this got to be put in writing. This ain't a PowerPoint. This is all in writing. Article 10, revenue rights and other payments. That's in writing. Team use day revenue, naming rights, all of that. Management of the stadium. We gave away management. That's why we can't get in there. We can't walk over there right now unless we buy a ticket. I got to buy a ticket to walk over there. And we own the stadium if I want to just look around. We gave away management. Game day operations is in there. All the responsibilities. Utilities. The taxpayers pay the utilities. That's in the contract. That ain't in the LOI. We got some utility stuff over there. Then it goes in Article 12, conditions of the stadium, enhancements. I mean, these are important things. Article 13, maintenance and repair. I mean, this is what goes into a contract. It's very complex. That's not in the LOI. Transfer of the team's franchise. It's written in there. We got a state law now called the Modell Law, where if you take some public money, you can't leave. Is that going to be in here? We got to have all this stuff in here. Assignments and subletting. It's all in here. Article 19, waiver of certain claims and all of that. It has, let me see how many articles. It has parking. We still giving away over 97% of the parking. So how are we bringing in revenue and we giving away revenue? So all of this is 33 articles, and under there they've got lots of stuff. And we got to pay attention because the last group did not pay attention to the fine print, and the taxpayers got ticked. They felt they got duped. It was sold with the media. Oh man, we did it. We passed it. It's wonderful. And then when they got this, the media started getting into it and exposing what's in the actual lease, the whereases, the thus, the commas, the periods. That's our job to do the due diligence. So I can't get excited about a concept. We always get excited. We're going to go to the Super Bowl. We're going to win it. But then we got to actually win it. Right? So those are the things that I have. Now, these people that wrote in, there was some interesting comments. Property taxes is the #1 issue right now. That's #1. And more people own homes than go to the Bengal games. The Bengals is 9 games, and we're going to guarantee them $350 million. And over 200,000 people own homes, and they were promised 30%. And every time we come with the 30%, we say it's not fiscally responsible. How can we be fiscally unresponsible to the taxpayers and the homeowners, but then when we come to the Bengals, all of a sudden we can come up with $350 million? So I'm trying to say, how can we balance where grandma can hold on to her house, and at the same time, we can have a win-win with the grandma and the Bengals? Now, no one wants to hear me out on that, but that's what the people are saying. Now, these people are just people that wrote in. If you got time with a computer. And you all came down, and we appreciate you coming down. But we're talking about everybody that buys bubble gum is paying for this stadium. And in here, there's too many things that have not been worked out. I want to be clear again. Number one, we do not have a lease. I have not been presented anything that says what this says. Resolution authorizing the county administrator to execute a lease agreement between Hamilton County and the Bengals. I do not have that. I'm not going to vote on letting them go negotiate a lease, which this says. Resolution authorizing negotiation of a new lease agreement. I thought we've been negotiating all these years. So I'm not going with this. In this also that was voted on, I did not vote in favor of it. If you read it, it goes down to the last, be it further resolved that neither the term sheet, that's what Mr. Ludo put on the board, neither the term sheet attached to this resolution nor a subsequent letter of intent shall be interpreted as a new lease agreement between the board and the team, and neither the board nor the team will have any rights or obligations under a new lease agreement until the final new lease agreement is approved by the board. We gotta read. It's in there. This is what it said. It's in black and white. We did a memorandum, $65 million. Didn't support that. But the last line, 7.3, y'all can read it for yourselves. No impact underneath, no impact on the lease. I'm just reading what's in there. Nothing in this MOU is intended to, nor shall be deemed or constructed to alter the terms of the current lease or earlier MOUs. In other words, doesn't do anything to change this. This is still in effect. Now, we have a tough job because this lease was 94% taxpayer pay for everything. And they only pay 6%. But we still got a lump-sided deal. And what I have major concerns about, yes, they said we'll be at a book, but that's a concept. What would it actually say in here? What's the legal language? Yes, we'd like to have community benefits, but what is it going to say in here? What's the legal language? Because none of it matters if it ain't in here. So with all of that being said, I have concerns when I have a person from Cleves. I'll just read one of them because it's everybody. No, from Cleves, which is in Hamilton County. Robert says, will we get the promised property tax rebates owed to us from the original lease that was reduced or deferred? Under this new proposal, I wouldn't be able to I can introduce it, but they'll say, hey, we already agreed we ain't got the money. I wouldn't be able to introduce 30%. Wouldn't even be able to entertain it until possibly the 7th year, which we then go into a renegotiation. So property tax people, you will not get what you were promised. Now, the only way to remedy this is to take it back to the voters. And I'm willing to take all this back to the voters. So then we can hear directly from them and the voters will be empowered. But they told me, legally, they claim, I couldn't take it back to the voters. So now we got to stick to what the voters said they wanted, which was in 1996. They were told they would get 30%. This deal proposal, that's what it should say, proposal, has nothing in it for the taxpayers of Hamilton County. And our job was to go in and represent the taxpayers, not the Bengals. They have their own lawyers. We were supposed to run out of here and say, listen, taxpayers, this is what we gave you. You're going to get 30% for your property tax rollback. We didn't do that. I would not be even able, y'all know I introduce it every year because we have to. I would not even be able to introduce it because this deal, the old deal allows me to introduce it, and we've done a couple 30%. The new proposal that's supposed to be better totally wipes out 30% as an option at a time when people are barely hanging on to the house they got. And it's the number one issue. And so that's what he says. And he says also, which is my point, is the rebates in writing. in the new lease? The answer is no. If not, there should be, and as it was previously promised. And there's more who add about that. I want to emphasize, so they can't say, well, this, just Commissioner Reese and this. Let me be clear. The state of Ohio, state Speaker of the House, so this ain't a Democrat Republican, because he's Republican. He on Willie Cunningham and then went to the floor and he said no to giving the Bengals any money. He went on to the state reps on the floor. If they had some amendments, it went nowhere. They came out with a budget from the House of State Representatives, $0 for the Cincinnati Bengals. So they said, oh, we don't want to lose them. If you don't do this, we'll lose them. State of Ohio said no, $0, but gave $600 million to the Bengals. So now the budget moved, and we were running up and down. We sending letters and all this. Supposed to had meetings. Roger Goodell went up there. I guess he only told him to go with Cleveland, because Cleveland came out with something. We didn't get anything. Let's go to the state Senate. So y'all can't say, oh, this is just Commissioner Reese. She just state Senate of Ohio State Senate. They had a chance to get it done. They came out with no for the Bengals, $0 in their proposal. $0. So then they said, we go to this thing called conference committee, where you got the House of Representatives with one budget, you got the Senate with another budget. They said, oh man, we can really get something done and we can get it in. Went to the conference committee led by Republicans. So I just want y'all to know this ain't no political thing. You got Democrats and Republicans. No Democrats put no amendments forward that got passed. No Republicans put any amendments forward that got passed for the Bengals. Go to the conference committee. Guess what? $0. They wasn't afraid to say, man, if we do this, the Bengals gonna lead the state. And the Bengals mean a lot to the state of Ohio too. They gave them $0 from the conference committee. So then it moves from the conference committee. They said, man, we're gonna go to the governor. Man, I know he gonna veto this thing, man. $600 million for the Browns and $0 for the Bengals, and we gotta keep them. Well, DeWine took the ink pen out and signed the budget with $0 for the Bengals. So this ain't just some Commissioner Reese thing. Then you got the people running for governor, Democrats and Republicans. They were interviewed. They said they ain't for no money for the Bengals, and one of them gonna win. One of them was just in town in Indian Hill having a press fundraiser. And he was on record saying he wouldn't go with him. So this ain't just no Democrat-Republican issue. Then the Bengals put in their proposal, unbeknownst to the city, they put in their proposal in writing that they thought the city should put something in because they got the admission tax. Well, the media ran to the mayor and council, and guess what? They said no, $0. So my point to all of this is on the backs of just Hamilton County, and I'm saying we got to get a better deal. And these people were willing, these some big time people. I think the finance chair, they said he's a big Bengal fan. He's gonna do something up at the state. And I think the administrator ran and sent him a letter, and we had lobbyists. He came back with $0. So my point to all that is that it's not a personal thing. It's a business thing on behalf of the taxpayers. And for me, I got to be transparent in that there is a difference legally between this, which is the same lease we under, and this, that's a proposal. Lastly, I want to say, as we move toward the future, we're looking at 11 years, possibly. The other one was about 30 years. This was about 30. I want to say that the deadline didn't creep up on us. In 1997, it's already written in here. You already know the deadline. So we knew the deadline since 1997. This ain't just, oh man, the deadline, I don't know how we run out of time. When we had since 1997 to now to get it done. So I wanted to highlight that because some people have asked me, why did we wait to the last minute? And I wanted to make sure that was highlighted. My points have been the same as we are now going into a lease, hopefully. Here are my items. Number one, the 30% that was promised to the people must be in this lease. The taxpayers must be getting something. Whether they might not be able to go to the game, but they got to get something. That's number one. If we can't afford the taxpayers, then we might not be able to afford the deal. We got to look at that. We got to redo the numbers. We got to shuffle it and try to come up with a fair deal on behalf of taxpayers as well. Number two, we also need to look at that this lease would overlap, if we go 10 years, 11 years, 2036, the Cincinnati Reds lease will be expiring over at the Great American Ballpark. So that means the Bengals lease and the Reds lease, if we go with this timeline, would be having to be negotiated at the same time. We barely can afford one stadium negotiation. So we need to consider that as we go forward. So those are my points. I'm sticking with them, but I am optimistic. I always keep optimism that if we really try and get the pencils and the calculators together, maybe we can come out with something that could be a win-win. And I'm going to keep that hope alive. Thank you.
Thank you. So I, too, want to thank those that came in and testified on this issue. Commissioner Dumas, your number's a little different from mine, so we got a few different emails, but I got about 89 folks writing in, maybe a little bit more, because I heard from a lot of people on the street and a lot of people at meetings. Many for, many against. It was about 49 against, 44. So it was a fairly even split. But some of these comments, and I am grateful for the comments because they're interesting. We read through them. People have very interesting ideas about what they would like to see by way of the stadium and the team. And so I'm very grateful for those that took the time to write in about a multitude of things that they're thinking about. And those that raised some of the issues that some of you did, which is this larger picture of what it means to have the Bengals here in this region, what it means to people moving here, what it means to people staying here, the economic impact is. These are things that we don't always talk about because we're kind of in the nuts and bolts of the letter of intent and the lease, but it's really important for us to remember the economic impact here and what it means to people to have the Bengals in Cincinnati. And so many of these emails, I was really struck by it, pointed that out. So thanks again to those that are here in person and that wrote in specific to this issue. I'm grateful for that. I also want to continue to thank the negotiating team. The administrator is one of the negotiating team, but we've got attorneys, we've got consultants, we've got a lot of really smart people working through the LOI and now through the lease. The importance of having the LOI was to get us to the lease. It is an agreement, a historic agreement between the county and the team where we've agreed on some of the really big features of any lease. And that's where we started. It wasn't really like, what did they have? What do they want? But rather, let's start with a blank page and just determine what should be in this lease. And it's the term. As was mentioned, it's 11 years, maybe 13, given a trigger that we've talked about in the past. It talks about the capital stack. I will respectfully disagree about the state and say that while we weren't written in specifically to the state legislation, there is a mechanism for local governments and teams to get money from the state through the forfeited funds. That is in the state's budget. I have had conversations with folks at the state level. We are certainly on that list of teams and communities that would be eligible for those dollars. In fact, I think we're pretty high on that list because we've got a project. We know what the projects are. We know what they cost. We know what the economic impact is, and they're shovel ready. These are some of the features that they're looking for. And so I am very optimistic that we will be able to draw down some of those investments from the state and add to this financial stack that we've talked about. The idea that the Bengals are paying rent, it is part of their contribution to the overall stack, the financial stack. So I don't want to be dismissive of the rent. It adds up to about $20 million over the term, and I think that's significant. It's something that we haven't had in many years. Our capital cost or cap, we've talked about that, no enhancement language. And then, the one that I hear about quite a bit, I was just at a meeting yesterday, and we went to Q&A, and of course Q&A always involves what's going on with the lease, what's going on with the Bengals. And so people really are keyed into this idea that the control of the events at the stadium will be more community driven. They will be county driven. And that's a big deal. We've talked about football games for high schools. We've talked about big concerts. We've talked about using the club levels for receptions. And so making this asset that belongs to the taxpayers available to the taxpayers outside of just game day. And so it's really important that we take advantage of that. And that is also in this agreement. The urban design reviews, where we've reduced some of the impact that the Bengals could have on some of the developed nearby. And then the community benefits agreement is something that we're working through. That is very community facing and forward facing. So I am pleased to have that included in what we're negotiating with the Bengals right now as well. So, we were asked, and I go out quite a bit. I've been to all 49 jurisdictions a number of times, and this is something that people are very focused on. It is something that people care about. And so I was always hearing, no new taxes, get a better lease, keep the team here. That's what people want. And I like to remind people too, because I got some comments more on the negative side about us using dollars instead of spending dollars on schools was one, which we have no control over, of course, but other programming. These dollars aren't those dollars. And Jeff, I appreciate you pointing that out. This is a fund that was voted on by people in 1996. The majority of this community voted for this. It's 0.5 of sales tax going into this fund. And so it was meant to build and maintain the two stadiums. And there are a number of obligations related to that. That was done a long time ago. We can't walk away from that. I mean, how do we walk away from these two assets? How do we walk away from maintaining these two assets and having teams playing in these two assets? That's not good for this community. And this community voted in favor of it many years ago. And so we can't turn away from that. We have obligations now. I wasn't here back then. None of us were. And yet here we are trying to get the best deal we can for taxpayers, very different from the original deal by the way, but also recognize that this community loves their sports teams, and we have an obligation to maintain these stadiums because they're community assets. And so it has put us at this moment in time. And so I just want to say the other piece, and Jeff, you mentioned this as well, the other piece about this is that we have come to an agreement with the Bengals on these terms under conditions that are difficult for the county, because the Bengals have the ability through the old lease to extend the current lease for 10 more years. They could do that. It could be 2 years at a time, but it's 10 years in duration. No one wants this old lease to go 10 more years. I've not heard from anybody that says, oh yes, let's keep that old lease for 10 more years. And yet the Bengals have the ability to do that under terms of the old lease. And so it is a reason to be optimistic that the Bengals are at the table with us negotiating these final terms, because they could walk around tomorrow and extend this lease for 10 years. So we're working through it. I am optimistic that we get there. I use the word optimistic a lot in general, but we have reason to believe, because of the negotiations and the fact that we've got an LOI in front of us, we have a letter of intent that we all agreed to on some of the major terms, and so we're working through the rest of it, and we hope to get there with the Bengals. And so we'll keep working at it. We'll keep making sure that the community's concerns are responded to. And so once again, I want to end on this. Thank you to the public that has weighed in, whether it's been by email, whether it's been in person, whether it's been out at meetings. I think all three of us, I know all three of us hear about this when we roll around the community. So thank you all for being part of the conversation. We are grateful for that. So thank you all for being here. You're welcome to stay if you'd like. We've got a full agenda beyond this, but we understand if you have to go. All right, so let's move on. So we've got another presentation. The clerk of courts is here. Thank you for your patience. Pavan Parikh is here. He's going to talk about the county's help center. I had the opportunity to listen to the clerk at the NACO conference, the National Association of Counties conference, where he made a presentation about the help center as a model for others to replicate throughout the country. So please take it away, Pavan Parikh.
Thank you, President Driehaus. Yes, so a lot for you and Mr. Aludo. Many of this will be a repeat of what you heard over the weekend. But we are very excited about all the work that the Help Center has been doing, and we really believe we've built a national model for how to address civil justice needs in communities like ours and some that aren't like ours. And so I'm glad that the press is maybe going to stay to listen to about all the good work that we're doing here. But we're here before you today because one of your agenda items today is to potentially accept a grant that will help us expand some of the work we've been doing, including a pilot project we've recently been doing with the city to expand it to all county residents, which we think will be hugely helpful in addressing some of the eviction problems we have in Hamilton County. And there we go. All right. So just a quick review as to where we are on the Help Center, who we are today. When our administration came in at the end of 2021, we had 2 attorneys and a paralegal there. We have aggressively expanded. Thank you to you all for your support, because we're meeting a very serious need in civil justice needs in our community. Some of this expansion has been from the court's request. They've seen the good work that was being done initially in municipal court, and requests started coming in from the Common Pleas Court, from the Court of Appeals, from juvenile court. And the clerk's office isn't even the clerk for the juvenile court. But the presiding judge, Judge Bloom, saw that there was a big need for this work in her court and wanted us to work with her to expand into that space as well. And it's been incredibly successful. This week, we finally have expanded into domestic relations. So now we're going to have an attorney there that is working with their clinic that they already had set up. And we are looking at additional opportunities to partner with the law school and the clinics and everything moving forward to ensure that, especially for all of these pro se litigants, they're getting the advice that they need, because we also know that it will increase judicial efficiency, because what you see happen many, many times when people represent themselves, they file the wrong motion. They make the wrong argument, and their case gets dismissed, and many times without prejudice, and so they come back again. And so you see the system get clogged up over and over and over again with people filing stuff that the staff at the court or the clerk's office is not allowed to tell them, here's what you need to file. We can just say it was wrong. And that's the difference between providing legal advice or not. And that's why the Help Center has been so beneficial in all the courts that we're in, because we have attorneys that can now advise people, this is the argument you need to make in order to clean up many of these dockets. This slide goes into some of the options as to how we help people and how we represent them through the Help Center. These services are, again, only made possible because we have attorneys acting as attorneys. And that is only made possible because of the relationship with the University of Cincinnati College of Law. So the actual attorneys are employed by the University of Cincinnati College of Law, even though it is funded through our budget. We send the money over there, but because they are not clerk's office staff technically, they're UC staff. They are licensed attorneys with insurance coverage and can actually give legal advice. And that is the really critical piece that makes so much of the work that we do in Hamilton County work, and what is so different in Hamilton County than it is in most other counties around the country that are doing something similar to what we're trying to do here. The goal has always been to work with people in the Help Center to get them to represent themselves, to get them to the next goalpost on whatever their case is. And the advice is provided on a limited walk-in basis by telephone or by preset appointments that can last up to 45 minutes. And beginning in the fourth quarter in 2024, the Eviction First Hearing Limited Representation Program was started. And that occurs directly outside of the courtroom where these hearings are held. Staff or an attorney from the Help Center is meeting with with tenants that are there for their first eviction hearing. And And in its inception, since it was funded by the city of Cincinnati, that program, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, there's someone there to represent these people in that initial hearing. We also help center staff connects people with other services like rental assistance. We have partnerships with Cincinnati Metro Housing Authority, United Way, a lot of different other community organizations to ensure this kind of becomes a one-stop shop. To see the impact and the work that we've done over the years, the best numbers really are starting in 2022 once we've mitigated a lot of the effects of COVID on the courthouse. This is the growth that we've seen. And what you're seeing here really is the growth in the staffing and the capabilities, but also just the word getting out. And we are very, very fortunate to work closely with the 513 Relief Bus and get out with that as it goes around the community and to ensure that we're meeting people where they are to get their needs met. So you're seeing significant growth in what we are looking at and the type of work that we are doing. We are projecting, and I promise this isn't just because it sounds nice rhetorically, approximately 25,000 services that we're going to render this year in 2025. So the growth has been steady. It will likely continue to grow because that does not reflect a full year's worth of domestic relations being online. We know that this work will continue to grow. The big thing that has been new, that is different in what we do, that is really different than what anybody else does in the country, is this limited representation pilot project that we started last year with the city of Cincinnati. Currently, it is on Tuesdays and Thursdays, like I said, for city of Cincinnati residents only. As it has progressed and you see the amount of work that is being done, is become very clear this program is working and working incredibly well. In fact, it has been so successful that we've started seeing the flow of dockets shift, that city of Cincinnati landlords are pushing cases to Mondays and Wednesdays to avoid the representation on Tuesdays and Thursdays sometimes. So we know that it's been successful. And to give you an idea of exactly how successful this program has been, from October 2024 to April 2025, 460 appearances were filed on behalf of more than 250 distinct households. And that's what you're seeing on this chart, is that the outcomes by that date. To get a little bit more recent, through July 8th, 588 court appearances have been made by our attorney, Shannon Price. More than 94% have resulted in a positive outcome for the renter. That means either a dismissal, or many times they just need a continuance, a little bit more time. They're in the process of moving out. They just need time. Of the 250 cases litigated to final judgment, 86% were dismissed. Those numbers would likely be zero without this program. And this is, again, currently at the small scale of what we're able to do just with the city of Cincinnati. The intent behind this grant that we're coming to you today on is to expand to 5 days a week and all county residents. We started this as this pilot project with the city of Cincinnati just to see how needed it was and how well it would work. And with these results, we are very confident that we are going to make massive investments and massive changes into the entire tenant, landlord, eviction ecosystem in Hamilton County, and once again put us at the forefront of this work that is being done to protect the residents of Hamilton County. These cases each represent community stability. Landlord can remain whole, a family stays in their home, or is given an alternate solution that does not end in homelessness. And I'm sure, because you are our appropriator, your big question is, what does this cost? So as we look at the numbers, I want to caution you from looking too much at the numbers at the top, because we just weren't tracking things nearly as well as we know we needed to. We've been much more robust in our tracking. Again, 2020, 2021, COVID years, we don't really know how, there were too many variables that we can't really account for on this chart. But as you look at what these programs have cost going forward, we're looking at approximately $20 per person to get the type of services that are, in many cases, keeping people whole, keeping them in their homes, addressing in our common pleas court foreclosure issues, addressing in juvenile court custody issues that will address similar issues in domestic relations court. So that is how efficient we have been. And this data collection is something that we are very focused on going forward, because as we've started to get better at data collection, it's made us much more competitive for some of these grants that we've started to pursue. As you look at some of these grants, we have been pretty aggressive going after organizations that can help us fund some of these pilot projects to, again, ensure that they are worth a full-time investment long-term in. And as you see from some of these numbers, we've gotten almost $500,000 in grants so far that we've sought out, and from groups that are not naturally the allies you would think of when you think of something like an eviction representation, legal services. And what we've brought before you today is one of those. Interact for Health has been very interested in this limited representation for eviction counsel program because they recognize the collateral consequences of evictions affect everyone and affect healthcare and affect everyone's health because housing is foundational and fundamental. We have also just generally gotten more sophisticated to look for more funding opportunities. We've continued to integrate with all the different services we offer around the county, including the 513 relief bus, to meet people at libraries, churches, community events. We've really tried to work with anyone that's interested in this space to think of new solutions. So this expansion which is the $100,000, I believe it's the first item on your consent agenda, would be $100,000 each year for this year and for the next year to help fund this great expansion in what is effectively a civil public defender in the eviction space. And as I said earlier, the numbers, we're looking at 86%, 94% positive outcomes. This is meeting a huge need. And I think that as we see how this impacts the entire county, we're going to get a lot more data to really do deep dives as to what are ways we can try to get ahead of all this upstream. Because at the end of the day, our goal for the Help Center and all the work that we're doing is not to only address these needs once they get to the courthouse. How can we alleviate these problems far, far upstream? But the more we know about why people are ending up at the court, the better we're going to be able to address those issues on the front end. So with that, I will try to be more brief than the previous presentation. slightly. And happy to take any questions on either this particular expansion or any other questions about the Help Center.
Thank you. It is clear that the Help Center is having an incredible economic or positive impact on the residents of this county. So thank you we hear a lot about eviction prevention. You're actually doing the work to keep people in their homes. So thank you for continuing to expand this program. Could you go back to the chart, the grant chart? Now I recognize that this is a chart about grants, but at the very end, this one, yes. So I know the county has invested here. It may not be, it's not captured here, obviously.
Every other dollar is county money.
So you're making my point. Because I'm really proud of this program. I know we all are because it's really having this great impact. And so if you wouldn't mind in the future allowing for that investment, because this is something that comes before us, I think, every year. And we are continuously investing in the Help Center because it's a high priority for the county. So,
and I think that maybe even the better way is to kind of combine this chart and that chart, because the reality is when you look on the left side of this, almost all of that is county money.
Well, you are again making my point here. So appreciate it. Well, because we're in partnership,
right?
And I applaud you for going outside of just the traditional funding source, which is the county, and going for all these grants. And you described this when we were in Philadelphia as these are not traditional groups that you would think of related to eviction prevention, and yet they understand the benefit to the health and the vitality of this community, and in turn are investing here. Interact for Health is the one that comes to mind. Right. And I believe that's the one that's on our agenda today. So again, I just want to applaud you for the work and your team. I know it takes a lot of effort. I know it's a pretty small team, but you're
small but mighty.
Tremendous impact. And so thank you for what you're doing, and please pass along our gratitude to the rest of the team.
Thank you. And I would also offer for anybody that wants to come and sit with us to watch what's happening in eviction court, to the commissioners, to the staff, we would love to have you organize a day where you can come and see what's going on, how it's working, so you have got a better idea of exactly what's going on, and maybe you'll come up with better ideas for us as to how to try to address this in the future as well.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation. Commissioner Summer-Odumas.
Thank you so much for the presentation, and your numbers, your statistics speak for themselves. I remember when you came initially to us. This is an absolutely great program, and so expansion nationally would have such an impact. I see you on the national scale going all over with this, but I'm very happy to support what's on our agenda and just keep doing what you're doing. I have one question. You said you guys represented the first eviction hearing. If they have a second hearing, do you continue with them until that eviction process is over, or?
Not right now, because the vast majority of these cases are resolved through that first hearing. For most tenants, what they really need is just a continuance. They just need a little bit of extra time. They've already started the process of moving out. Right now, the focus is on that first hearing, because when you get an order set from that first hearing, that's really the threshold event. That's your event horizon. After that, everything kind of flows. So if we can prevent that, that's our primary focus right now. I think that once we've expanded this full county-wide, we've taken a real look as to what additional gaps have we now uncovered, that may be an idea for the future.
And I remember you saying just about 84% of the eviction cases are resolved immediately.
So of the ones litigated to a final outcome, 86% have been dismissed. But 94% of all the representations have had a positive outcome, which again, either just means more time or dismissal. But this has been hugely successful. These are numbers that I don't think any of us could have truly predicted when we first started this, but it shows just how necessary this program is.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and your staff.
Thank you. Commissioner Reese.
Yeah, I just want to say congratulations. It's even more important now because after American Rescue is winding down and all of the attention is not on the issue of eviction, but understanding that we now have it institutionalized. So I want to thank you for that. And also for the partnership on the 513 relief bus. So great job.
Well, and quite frankly, during when there was a lot of rental assistance, a lot of the work in the help center kind of shifted a little bit during those years. There were less court hearings, but there was a lot more money available. So we really focused during those years of being able to partner with people to get them that rental assistance. Now that court hearings have really gotten back up to speed over the last 3 to 4 years, that's why the focus really has now pushed back towards being in court and taking care of people that are going to court, because we know that funding isn't there. So the best thing we can do for a lot of people, give them that little bit of extra time. If we give them that time, they can avoid the eviction on their record and they can go about their lives.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, commissioners, why don't we advance consent agenda item number 3? This is the grant from Interact for Health for the help center. So I'm going to move that we approve of consent agenda item number 3.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for your support. Thank you all.
Good work. Yeah, thank you. All right. We did check in earlier about anybody online for public comment. There weren't any. Christy, is that still the case? I don't want to pass over this item on the agenda. We had quite a bit of public comment, but there's no, okay. All right, so we'll check that box. All right, we'll move on to comments and motions of the commissioners. Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Thank you. Just a few things. I participated in the Maritime webinar. That they meet basically quarterly, but they've been meeting more recently lately, and they deal with the barges on the river and the status of the river. And they were talking about that they need more barge builders, but they are like ancient now. They can't find too many people because it's a specialized thing that you do, and they need more barges right now to be built. But they'll be having it's a very interesting, believe it or not, webinar to talk about the river and river traffic and what comes up and down the Ohio. Also, I participated, represented the commissioners at the Norwood groundbreaking, and we had allocated $2.3 million toward Norwood for a MSD project that they've been working on for a long time through the ARPA funding. And also, I spoke at a youth camp over the weekend. Some young ladies were there and talked about, and I said that earlier at another meeting, and they gave me some information about what's going on the street as it relates to they were 10 years old to about 13, about violence. And also I talked about the commissioner role and also talked about relationships. So I learned a lot, and I think they did too. And I attended the Black Tech Week. It was awesome. It was amazing. That's all I can say. I had chills when I was in there. Just the positive energy from all these young people, and some older, but in the information that they were receiving, it was just an honor to be a part of the opening ceremony. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Reese.
Yes, I'll start with Black Tech Week. great job. We were a sponsor partner, Hamilton County, and it was a great event. I want to thank with the leadership and the collaboration with Candace Matthews and her team, but we were able to have our 513 mobile tech bus outside. And one of the things that was so important for me was to showcase how our 513 Relief bus is, it could be a multitude of things. So we set up outside of the Aronoff, and everyone was there, from our procurement to our economic inclusion, to our Office of Small Business, to our economic development folks. The Ohio Department of Taxation was on there trying to help people as small businesses, as well as UC Health was there, of course, making sure people's blood pressure wasn't too high. So a number of people, was it EDCI, I believe? Holly, did I say that right? ECDI was there. So I want to thank Holly Christman, Kelly Admonson, of course, Robert Bell, Jill Williams, my chief of staff, Veda Stevens, and Jackie Taggart with my office to work with everyone to be able to put that there. I've got nothing but positive feedback of people saying how on the move we are here in Hamilton County, and my understanding, we had lines of people trying to get in as small businesses and tech companies. So I'm very excited about that, and that was a good event. Speaking of the 513 Relief Bus, this past Saturday we had our Accessibility Day with Hamilton County DDS, and it was just phenomenal. It was a collaboration event celebrating, of course, Disability Month. And we just had a great time, and we played tennis. I played tennis. We had fun. The Cincinnati Tennis Foundation Hearing, Speech, and Deaf Center, stand-up wireless, and Food for the Soul, all there. And I want to thank Trevina Adams, Scott Wilson, Arlene Dorville, and of course, thank you, DDS, for making this a priority. The Ohio Disability Mobile Unit was there, so people could really go right there and sign up and talk to someone, because it's so difficult when you're dealing with disabilities. And we also had Black Art Speak was out there with some sensory things. So yes, STEM Lab was there, who actually won our pitch contest. Chelsea was there with the STEM Lab. So that was a very, very good event, and we helped a lot of people. So I was happy about that on Saturday. I just want to remind people a couple things. Mayor Brown out in Forest Park wanted me to remind everyone that Black Men's Wellness Day is this Saturday, and it's going to be in Forest Park. So check it out. Our 513 Relief Bus will also be there with a lot of screenings that will be happening this Saturday. And then next Saturday, because we don't meet next week, next Saturday is the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame induction ceremony and celebration, and that will take place on Saturday. Starts at 12, but start lining up at 11. We're asking people to wear all white. It's going to be a great event. Seating is on a first come, first served basis, but we do have live streaming on the outdoor stage as well. So it's just going to be a good time. It's Cincinnati Music Fest weekend. Of course, lots of money is brought into our county, and lots of money has been spent. So we are inducting the late Nancy Wilson, jazz great Nancy Wilson, the Ohio Players, the gospel music icon Dottie Peoples, and the mighty OJs. So those will be our inductees. There will also be live performances as well by Regina Bell, Mr. Southern Soul, Big Rob, and Dottie Peoples herself will also be performing. This is entirely free. And our goal is, we're almost there. Phil's gonna say we're almost there. We actually have clickers, so this is not fake numbers, these are real numbers. But our goal is to hit the 250,000 visitors. That's one of the things. We have 250,000 visitors. That would be a very good number, considering that we haven't been open that long, and we are almost there. So come on out and help us hit those numbers. and exceed those numbers. And we will be reporting what the number is. So I'm super excited about it. So we won't be here next week. So I just wanted people to know that that is happening. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have a couple of things too. I did go on a tour of the Justice Center. My staff went with me, and the sheriff was showing us what she's doing related to especially healthcare and the exploding need for room over in the Justice Center to accommodate the health needs of the inmates. Particularly related to mental health and addiction. We did tour the care pod. We all were part of the pod. We had a tour over there a number of years ago. The state helped also, but they've got beds up there that are now occupied by those who suffer from either mental health or addiction issues. And we walked into this pod, and it's so different from the rest of the jail where it's very lockdown oriented. This is a dormitory style setting, and there were probably 20 men in the pod that we visited. They were interacting with one another. They were surprised to see us. The sheriff walked in, and everybody was excited to see her. But we had some questions for them about it's volunteer, so the volunteer nature of them being in that pod. And they have all said yes to the supports that are being offered in the Justice Center, and expect to be on the road to recovery once they leave the Justice Center. And so they had some really positive things to say about the pod, and it is a model for the rest of the country. And so it was exciting to be up there, and it was just a very positive vibe, and they were very gracious in having us there. And obviously, we asked them, you obviously volunteered to be in this unit. Is this better than what you would otherwise be experiencing in the Justice Center? And without exception, they all raised their hand and said, yes, we want to be here. This is working. We're delighted that this is something that's available to us in Hamilton County. So I was really grateful for the tour. It was eye-opening. Also, I referenced the NACO conference. So this is the National Association of County Officials. Pavan Parikh was there as well, giving his presentation. I represented Hamilton County as we voted for a second vice president at the organization. So it's always good to have an exchange with folks from all over the country on different ideas, different things that they're doing. I sit on the Economic Development Committee, and so learned a bunch of things and also contributed to the conversation. So I was glad to be there representing Hamilton County. I wanted to talk about Black Tech Week. I too thought it was a fantastic event. Thanks to the organizers and all those that attended. I've been by the Aronoff the last few days. Rain or shine, there is a lot of energy around Black Tech Week. And so it was really exciting to see all these young people, in particular Commissioner Dumas, coming to the core of the city and then moving around. I mean, everywhere you went, you were running into somebody with a badge on that said Black Tech Week. And so it brought a lot of vitality to the city. And again, very excited that Hamilton County was one of the investors in the event, along with others, but it was really exciting to see those folks down there. I also was invited out to talk to the Realtors Association, talked a lot about all things, including the Bengals, and housing in particular. And commissioners, I was happy to give them some detail about what we've done by way of CDF to really substantially invest in housing in this community. So I was grateful for the invitation. And then lastly, I went to a presentation by the folks over at Findlay Market. They have an economic impact study. It may be their first one, but the economic impact of Findlay Market is substantial to this region. And we obviously have invested in that as well through our parking garage. And so they are grateful for the partnership, but it's really impressive to be with those people that are doing that work every day, serving people every day. It was really a fun event. I don't think we always think about Findlay Market by way of their regional impact, but it is significant. So I was glad to do that. That's all I have. Administrator Aludo, I'm going to turn it to you.
Thank you, commissioners. Just one quick comment. I do. It's very rare, but sometimes I'm not able to do the onboarding for a specific day, and today Holly did that for me, so I just want to thank her for doing that and to welcome. We had, in particular, I just want to highlight, we had 4 new children's services workers join the county, and a general services worker over at JFS, and just knowing the importance of that and the importance of reducing the vacancies in that particular job classification, just wanted to welcome everyone aboard who is handling that important function of helping to provide for our children here in the community. So I want to welcome those folks aboard. I do have 2 by-leave items for you today, Commissioners. These both relate to the same item, and the earlier item we discussed, actually. So as the board is aware, earlier this year, we passed a memorandum of understanding with the Bengals to begin planning and procuring certain projects related to Phase 1 of the Paycor renovation project, presuming that we get to a new lease. Under that MOU, or Memorandum of Understanding, there are several projects that need to be procured given the long lead times they face so that we can actually begin construction in 2026. Most of these relate to the projects that the board committed to under this related to the vertical transportation, the club vertical transportation projects. So previously, the board, you'll recall, the board acted on an agreement related to the actual escalator procurement, given the time associated with buying parts and steel for the escalators. Today, there are 2 trade contracts in front of you that deal with the broader vertical transportation project. This is related to structural steel and concrete. So we've got those projects in front of you. Those are as by-leave item 2, actually. Again, just as was the case last time, and I'd sent a report on this last week, if we are not able to finalize a lease, we would exercise the termination clauses that we have in these agreements, as we would do with the other agreement as well. So that's item number 2. There are 2 trade contracts there. Phil Beck is here, and I'm going to ask him to just, in a second, Phil, just walk through the 2 trade contracts. We also have a budget adjustment. What this does, this is by-leave item number 1, the entirety of the club vertical transportation project is $16.74 million. This just establishes the authority and the appropriation for that project. It doesn't put in $16 million of cash yet, but it at least establishes the spending authority for the project. So as these projects come in, we can spend legally these dollars. So with that, that's by-leave items 1 and 2. I'm going to ask Phil to just talk through the 2 trade contracts related to, well, I'll just leave it to you. I won't steal your thunder, Phil. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. Good morning, Commissioners. As Jeff said, this is part of what we broadly call vertical transportation at Paycor. You had approved the escalators, which is trade contract 1. There are 6 total trade contracts associated with vertical transportation. So what is before you today are trade contracts 2 and 3 for steel and concrete. The steel is similar to the escalators in that it also has long lead procurement time. So that's why it's important to get a jump on this so that when the Bengals season is over, presumably the end of January of 2026, then we're in there and making things happen.
Thank you, Jeff.
And then if there's questions about the appropriation itself, which is by-leave 1, John Brugan is here if there are any questions on the technicalities related to that. But happy to answer any questions, Commissioners.
Thank you. Commissioner Summer Dumas, any comments or questions?
No questions.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes, thank you. I have some questions. My first question is, this is regarding, or let me step back. I voted for some work to be done on some escalators. What was that work?
I think, Commissioner, the one you're referring to, there are 2 contracts that we currently have with Kone, with a company called Kone right now. Mm-hmm. One of them is for the refurbishment of all the escalators in that stadium. I believe that's the Kone contract that you're referring to. So that is currently ongoing. Okay.
So we have a contract to fix the escalators that go outside of just the club level, right?
That is correct. That contract relates to all of the escalators in the stadium, correct?
Thank you. I want to get back to the PR, because after the last time when they brought this memo, they said, we got to do this for safety. So I voted already to refurbish all escalators. This component is to get materials, or we had something to get materials that we had to get, and you said it's a long lead time. So that was another vote. So what is this? Because I don't want headlines running with these blogs. You know, they got these AI blogs out now. They put out a lot of stuff, and they say if they put it out a lot, people will believe it. They kept saying safety. So y'all call ESPN and all these other people. I already voted for safety because I voted for all escalators to be refurbished. This is something different. So we did the steel, which I did not support because we don't have a lease. What is this? Is this steel or something else?
So yeah, this is the converse, and Phil may be able to help me out a little bit here, but it's the question about safety is a bit nuanced here because yes, there's one contract that the board voted on to refurbish all of the escalators in the stadium, make sure that for the upcoming season, for the music festival, for all that those are safe. What this is related to the entirety of the club vertical transportation project, which will replace escalators that are there and make some new ones to make sure I don't think it's an either or. This will also make a safer environment for that.
No, we understand that,
right.
But I'm talking about, because I'm in PR, so they give you talking points. If you jump out and say, we got to do this for safety, then they give the impression that we're unsafe. And I said, we got to it's either or. If we're unsafe, like I said, you got to put some yellow tape and close it down. But what we're saying is, I voted for it to be safe because we got a season that starts on August 7th, and these new elevators will not be in place, but a game will be happening. So we'll have a whole season, and you saying we already voted on the old lease to refurbish those, at least get those going. What's in front of us is going forward to bring some new stuff only to the club level. Am I correct? Would this go up to the chief?
This is for the club vertical transportation project, and it is essentially the final solution for a more efficient, safer vertical transportation process for those club areas.
Gotcha, club areas. Okay, now on here, which gets me, we don't have a lease, and it just seems like when it comes to the county, everything we do, we on what they call a cash app program. In other words, as soon as we do something, the cash got to hurry up and be put here, got to be put in place, got to be there. But when it comes to the other side, the bingo ownership, they're on an IOU program. We're on a cash. Everything we do something, we got to hurry and vote the next day to put some cash to the side. When I'm looking at this thing, you said if we don't get a lease, you said it won't happen. But on this contract, it says on page 3, if I'm reading it right, it says 3.4 section, when the work of this contract is complete. And then it goes down with an X by it. It says by the following date, which is April 10th, 2026. So if we go into this contract and say the lease thing don't work out, we just went into a contract to say April 10th, we got a date. We don't have a lease, so we don't have a contract with the team, except this old contract. But now we're going into a new contract that says April 10th, 2026 is the completion date. So if it don't work out, I don't know how does that
If
work?
the lease doesn't work out, that there is termination for convenience wording in the contract that would allow us to terminate the agreement. And as we had provided in the report earlier, the county would exercise that termination clause language to the degree that there was any engineering costs, shop drawings, things of that nature that we would have to pay for, we would pay for those, but that we would stop the broader project. If that's the board's desire, if the board wanted to continue with the project, you certainly would have that option, but if you wanted to terminate it, you could.
Okay, because I think we'll terminate with a cost. Then it has on here in the contract, it says cash allowance, number 1, $50,000. So we got a cash allowance. So all I'm saying is, every time I look up, we spending more money and we don't have a lease. I don't mind the old lease. I have those obligations. I want to clear it up. I'd have voted for these escalators to be working this year, this season, 2025. But now they want us to commit to 2026, and we don't have a lease, but we keep entering contracts. I don't know if a private business, I don't know if I don't have a contract over here, I usually can't commit money over there. So that's kind of where I was a little, every week it's that MOU is biting us. Every week it's another MOU vote. We voted to stockpile some steel or order some steel. That's a cost. If you end up not using the steel is coming. It's a cost. Now we going in here, we got another cost. This says it'll be done by April 10th, 2026. So I'm just kind of, it's the cart before the wheels to me.
Yeah, no, I understand that, Commissioner. It's, as we talked about when we actually voted on the MOU, that these were the things that needed to be, that there were some things with long-term, long procurement timelines that would have to be entered into. The whole entire MOU, if you remember, for the county was $64 million. A lot of that is not going to be procured until later this year. Most of it won't be spent until 2026. But that there were some long procurement timeline contracts that we would have to enter into. The team, for its part, is doing the same thing. My understanding, we've had our negotiating team talking with the team. They're in the process of entering into about $4.5 million worth of contracts related to the same thing. So the team is anxiously trying to get through this lease negotiation process as well, because both of us are walking down the path here, both of us committing to some early project-related things, knowing that, you know, we, at the worst-case scenario, we have to terminate those contracts or decide whether we want to move forward with them. But we'd rather just get to a lease and everyone be moving forward with all of the Phase 1 renovation projects.
Yeah, we, unfortunately, do we get a copy of their contracts? Because they get a copy of ours because it's public record.
I don't have one personally, but I know that our negotiating team has talked with them at length about the various contracts for tile and glazing work and other things that they have to enter into contracts for.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Those are all my questions.
All right, very good. I am going to make a motion that we approve of by leaves item 1 and 2.
Second. Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas? Yes. Commissioner Reeves?
No.
Thank you. Thank you, Phil. We have an item on our regular agenda for MSD. Is MSD here? Oh, there you are. Come on forward, please. Got a new face from MSD. Welcome.
Hi, greetings, commissioners. My name is Zane Lasky. I'm with the Metropolitan Sewer District of Greater Cincinnati, and I'm here to review item 2 of you, which is legislation to authorize an exception to Section 206 of the MSD Rules and Regulations in order to allow a building to overhang within an MSD permanent sewer easement. This is related to the Uptown Gateway development at the corner of Martin Luther King Jr. Drive and Reading Road. You might also see it as you travel up 71 and down 71 is these new UC structures. Next lives here. The rules and regs generally prohibit structures from being constructed within a sewer easement. An exception can be granted by the board. So this legislation authorizes an agreement with the property owners, which they've already signed, and stipulating that the new structure won't adversely impact the structure's integrity or access to the sewer, and that the owners will be responsible for any damages that occurred to it. So we've reviewed this, and the structure in question, there's a basement or a garage that raises up, and the first floor overhangs 45 feet by a smidge over an existing sewer easement that we have. So it won't impact our operation, maintenance, or access to the sewer. So this is something we review on a case-by-case basis, and it's for your consideration.
Okay, thank you. To be clear, there's a structure there. The overhang is here.
45 feet high.
All right, because we've had these in the past, and MSD has been pretty determined to not have things built over sewers so that there's no issue with access if something goes wrong. So I just want to be very clear that this is not a structure built over the sewer, but rather an overhang that is above that, and that's why it doesn't impede the access.
That's correct.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Summer Dumas, any questions or comments?
Couple. Mr. Lasky, what is your role in MSD?
I'm the principal engineer of development services. So these are the kind of agreements that we work with the developers on and then present to you guys.
Thank you. And how many homeowners signed? You said they've already signed.
There is one property owner that's signed, and yeah, it's, sorry, go on.
No, I'm sorry for interrupting you. Go ahead.
No, it's in, I believe the document's there in front of you, and it's the Uptown Gateway development. And the exact people I can't exactly speak to, but I know they're in the document in front of you.
So the exact number of people you can't speak to, is that what you?
Well, it's signed on the agreement here, and so whoever that is, or whoever's representing those people, is that entity. Since it's a development, usually there's a developer that runs and operates the structure, not necessarily everybody who leases or rents from them.
Yeah, I was just wondering specifically because you were saying if something happens, then the owners would be responsible.
Correct.
And so I just wonder what particularly in that paragraph did they sign and agree to? They agreed to the establishment to build that over, and if something happens after you build, then they're responsible. Is that what you're saying?
So there's a responsibility that when, of course, we sign this, that if anything were to happen to MSD's asset, they have a responsibility for the damages that could be caused there. And exact terms there are stated in the agreement there in front of you. I can't speak to it because I'm an engineer, not the legal person to put it together, but we do review these on a case-by-case basis when they come across our desk.
Okay. We usually have more people here can speak to it then. Okay, you need to be a lawyer. Thank you.
Maybe another day.
Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Reese.
Yeah, thanks. And I don't want to, because like you said, you're not a lawyer, but I do, because it was said like the community is for it or the homeowners or what have you. I'm just concerned about long term, because Uptown right now, but long term, someone else comes in and, into that property, or now they're bound by this agreement to fix anything. That makes me a little uncomfortable, because we've seen that with people coming down here that maybe something that was in place maybe 30 years ago, and someone moves into that area and they're like, well, that was the agreement. So, and I will say that I don't have a lot of experience on this because I have not voted on something like this, but I do share the concerns of my colleagues, particularly when we say the community or the owners have all agreed, and then it was, well, it's Uptown that got the agreement. So I'm just trying to understand that a little better.
I wonder, what is the timing on this? And what I'm getting at is maybe we could have someone that is able to answer those questions, maybe on the legal side, come in and present to us. So is there a timing element to this?
No, there is not. The structure is already overhanging, so this is something that we caught after construction.
Oh.
And we're like, hey, this is overhanging. Let's go into agreement with this.
Okay.
And so we can at least, be on even terms for, hey, we don't see it impacting our asset, but should it, there's liability with that.
So let's, if you all are concurring here, I would like to hold this for 2 weeks for our next meeting, and have someone come in that can speak to some of the comments that have been brought forward, maybe somebody from the legal team. With all due respect, we love engineers. We also like attorneys. So let's bring them in and answer the questions before we vote on it, if that's all right.
That sounds fine.
Okay, very good. So to the clerk, we're going to hold item number 2 for 2 weeks. Do we have to have a motion to do that? Okay, is that okay, commissioners? Is that, we agree?
Sure.
We agree. Okay, thank you. Thank you for being here. Appreciate that. Bye. All right, we have dispensed with item number 3, so let's move into the rest of the consent agenda.
Thank you, commissioners. So on the consent agenda, starting with item 4, is the actions of the administration for June of 25. Item number 5 is a budget adjustment for non-departmentals, federal grants. There's a coroner's grant transfer in there, as well as an environmental services grant and a social services and justice programs grant. The total amount is 1.045. That includes $500,000 related to the additional appropriation of some additional sick leave for retirement payouts. Item number 6 is designating the active money depositories, as the board has been previously briefed on. My understanding is that all 11 of the applications that came in were accepted by the Treasurer's Office. Item number 7 is accepting a sales tax receipt and credit card late charges in the amount of $77.64. Item number 8 is awarding and authorizing an invitation to bid for the painting of the south scoreboard at Paycor Stadium for $207,000 with Len Painting. Item number 9 is a resolution accepting one purchase order and authorizing its execution for $100,000. Item number 10 is a facilities item. Actually, items number 10 and 11 are both facility items. They relate to the granting of easements. Item number 10 is at 478 Empress Drive and 544 Delta Avenue. This is for a city stormwater project. Item number 11 is related to the relocation of a transmission and distribution circuit through Duke Energy. Item number 12, Commissioners, is a resolution authorizing an agreement between Sugar Creek Packing Company and the county on behalf of Environmental Services. This is a solid waste management grant for $6,800. Item number 13 is a resolution providing for the issuance of hospital improvement revenue bonds for the benefit of TriHealth. This is one of those pass-through conduit issuances. Ultimately does not impact the county's debt capacity. And they are making improvements in capital acquisitions at some of their facilities, some of which are local. Items 14, or starting with item 14, you have some human resource issues. Item 14 is a resolution to modify sections 4.0 of the Family Medical Leave Policy, 4.3 of the Court Leave Policy, 4.4 of the Military Leave Policy, 4.9 of the Poll Worker Leave Policy, 4.10 of the Declared Emergency Leave Policy, 5.10 of the Parental Leave Policy. These are to make some adjustments to those different policies. For example, only adding things like travel days to the inclusion of allowable leave under military leave, allowing for people taking poll worker leave to attend organizational meetings, providing some additional flexibility on court work or on court duty, leave time, et cetera. And I think we have a representative from HR here who can go into further detail if the board so desires. Item 15 is a resolution journalizing an MOU amending 2 of our collective bargaining agreements to incorporate organ and bone marrow donor leave policy and the adoption assistance policy with the board's parental leave policy. Item 16 is a resolution approving and journalizing an MOU and amending various collective bargaining agreements, again, incorporating the board's paid organ and bone marrow donor leave policy. Item 17 is a resolution adding a part-time administrative position to the table of organization in social services. This is a grant that used to be funded under the prosecutor's office and is moving over to social services. Item 18 is a resolution approving and journalizing the collective bargaining agreement between the Board of County Commissioners and IUOE Local 20, representing the stadium trades, in SERB case 2024 MED 090907. Items, beginning with item 19, you have JFS items. The item 19 is $100,000 for independent living services. That is with United Methodist Children's Home. Item 20 is for an IT-related services. This is actually 3 addenda related to that, and this is with CDWG for $709,000. Item 21 is authorizing a renewal and an amendment to the agreement with Forensic Fluids Labs for substance abuse buccal swabs and testing at $50,000. Item 22 is a renewal number 3 to an agreement with Napier Truck Driving. This is for the truck driver training program that we have for SNAP consumers at $339,600. All of those JFS items total roughly 1.2 million. Commissioners, we also have the monthly investment report for the month of June 2025 in the Treasurer's Office. And we have item 24, which is requesting to travel at the county's expense. This is 7 employees of the Coroner's Office to Columbus, Ohio. And that is your consent agenda, Commissioners.
I believe on the revised agenda, there is an item number 23, which is a liquor permit application.
I'm sorry, Commissioners. Yes, I'm sorry. I've got the old.
Yeah, so there's
items
just
in front
one
of me.
additional item. It's item 23 about the liquor permit, and then the treasurer's item is 24.
It's 24, and then the travel is 25. Correct.
okay.
So item 23 is the reporting of no objection to one liquor permit. This is MAB Sports in Colerain Township, Ohio.
Very good. Thank you very much. I have one question related to item 14, the human resources item. Thank you for giving some detail about the military leave, the poll worker leave. Can you help me understand the parental leave adjustment here?
I'm going to defer to Ms. Bess from,
Thank you.
if you could come up to the dais. Corey can walk you through the parental leave changes,
Thank you.
since she's here.
Since I'm here. Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
You were requesting information about the more substantive changes to the parental leave policy, is that correct? So the parental leave policy, after implementation, we obviously had the opportunity to, administer it multiple times. It's one of our more popular leave policies under the board. Through that process, we realized that there was a need to address some situational issues that had come up that were not covered by the policy, and also to provide some clearer guidance to employees and managers about how to walk through that process. The most substantive change to the parental leave policy involves the use of the time off. Currently, employees are entitled to 8 weeks of paid leave and 4 weeks of unpaid leave twice throughout their employment, so for 2 incidents. We looked at it and how it was being used and determined that perhaps there was an ability to provide a little bit more freedom for employees to utilize that leave as they see fit. So while an employee for any one given incident may only be permitted to take up to 8 weeks of paid leave and 4 weeks of unpaid leave, we've kind of created it as one bucket of 16 weeks total of paid leave and 8 weeks total of unpaid leave, so that if they would like to take that leave differently, perhaps they are having family planning different from just the idea of adopting or having 2 children, they may want to utilize that leave differently, and this provides them more freedom. Instead of saying you can use it twice, you can use the whole bucket in your employment as you see fit and what fits best for you and your family. The other substantive modification to that policy that is different from what currently exists is there was not a lot of guidance around the use of intermittent parental leave. When it came up, it was determined that it was necessary to provide guidance to both managers and employees about the expectations for using that leave, in particular to ensure operational functionality and efficiency within the department, that employees are entitled to use the leave, but we structured it in a way that it would be something that was agreed upon and set prior to the employee using it, as opposed to perhaps modifying on a week-to-week or bi-weekly basis. So that was just, there was more clarity around the expectations of the employee and the operations as they were running, with, of course, the ability to modify it should it be necessary due to extenuating circumstances. So for the parental leave policy, those are probably our primary biggest substantive changes. The rest of it is mostly involving just providing better guidance and clarity about how you use the policy, how you access the forms, and things of that nature.
So on the parental leave policy then, do you know how many individuals have used our parental leave policy?
I don't have that number sitting here today, but I can tell you that in terms of our paid leave policy, it is by far the most used policy that we have under the board, both for mothers and fathers. And so that is why we had the ability to really take a look at it, even though it's only been passed for about 3.5 years, and understand the things that we needed to clarify I'm happy to get those numbers for you, and I can make sure that you have that information.
Yeah, and I would appreciate that because we were really excited about putting this into place. It's a great recruitment tool and
Yes.
great for our employees.
It is very popular.
The other piece, though, here is the flexibility and the amount of time that we are allowing people to take. And so I wonder if, since it's 16 weeks total paid then and 8 weeks unpaid, is that what you're saying? And
Yes,
so
Commissioner.
you look at it differently than you look at that as a bucket. So if I'm a person that has 3 children, can I take 4 weeks of paid and then have the rest of it kind of reserved in that bucket if I choose to take it in smaller increments as I go? And it does raise the question, is it reasonable to think that people are having 2 kids? And I don't know. I have mixed emotions about this one.
So under the proposed policy, yes, you would have the ability to take it in smaller increments. So under the previous policy, and we do have employees who choose or may desire to come back to work earlier, but if you don't use it in that one incident in its entirety, you've essentially waived the ability to bank that time. This still allows them to use it twice in the total time if they would choose to do so. But if they would like to forecast maybe a little differently that their family needs, they're able to exercise that flexibility more so than what they were allowed to do under current policy.
But when you say, so if I'm the employee and I decide coming back in 4 weeks, knowing that I am kind of banking the rest of the time. Now, if I don't have any more children, then I've lost that time.
That is correct.
But if I do have more children, then I have the flexibility to use what I've banked differently in the future. Is that what you're saying?
That is correct. So essentially, there is no harm to the modification in the policy in the sense that they can still use it the same way that it was structured previously. This just allows them to bank that time instead of losing it when they don't choose to utilize all of it in one incident or occurrence.
But somebody can use it all at once.
They are more than welcome to use it up to the way that it was, meaning for any one occurrence, it would still be 12 total weeks of leave. But if they don't choose to utilize all of it, they're welcome to bank it now and use it differently.
Okay, so yeah, I was going to ask you that. So they can't do 16 paid all at one time.
That is correct.
All right. Okay, thank you for the clarity.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And I just did want to comment on item 15 too. I'm glad to see this, that we're putting into place the organ donation policy. We talked about this a couple months ago, and I'm very excited to see this being added to our policies.
We are too. We are glad and happy to be able to reach out to the unions, worked with them very quickly, and to get all of it implemented into the contracts and ready to go for the whole board.
That's great. Thank you. Commissioner Summerall Dumas.
I just had a question, and I'm sure it's in the excuse me, the policy. What if it was like a grandmother that's employed here? Do they qualify for parental leave?
They would qualify for parental leave in the sense that if they were adopting the child as their child, they would qualify to use parental leave. So it's not just for childbirth, it's also for permanent placement in a residence. Okay. So any individual, including a grandmother that would be in those circumstances, would be more than welcome, and we would encourage them to use the leave.
I was asking for you. Okay, all righty.
Well, to follow up on that, does it apply to kinship care?
In terms of if you stand in the place of, if you could provide me a little more information, I'm not sure.
So kinship care is in between, before adoption, you've got kin providing similar care. And I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Oh, no, it's okay. I just,
so let us know.
There has to be a court document essentially with a permanent placement. I don't think you have to wait to the official adoption, but you do need to be permanently placed with the intent to adopt, or the paperwork to say that you are basically going to be the sole custodian in that circumstance. But it doesn't contemplate in terms of if you're speaking of like an adult sibling or someone else outside of a child parent type or in parental loci relationship, it does not contemplate that type of leave.
Okay, so this is, so you've clarified it's related to birth and adoption, not to fostering or kinship care. They're very
correct.
distinct.
That is correct.
Okay. All right, thank you. Commissioner Reese.
That was Commissioner Dumas.
Oh, she already did hers.
Yeah.
You're done? Oh, I have no questions about this.
Oh, thank you.
I'm sorry.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Okay,
And I will make sure that we have that information to you about commissioners about the use incidents and the leave. It's
Yeah,
something we
that'd
can
be
pull
great.
pretty quickly.
Maybe on all of them, if you don't mind.
I'm sorry, what?
On all of them, with the poll work. I'd love to know how many people take advantage of the poll worker leave.
I've done it. It's fun.
I know. John
Yeah.
Regan does it too. I don't know if he's still here, but thank you to both of you.
Yeah. Thank
All right,
you.
thank you. You were finished with the entire agenda, right? Yep. Okay. Commissioner Reese.
Okay. I wanted to bring attention just to item number 6. 'Cause I don't know how often we do this, but I think this is the first one under our current treasurer. And so I saw I think, diversified list of banks this time, so I wanted to commend our treasurer, Jill Schiller, for that. Thank you very much. But I also want to keep our eye on it, because this is where we put the people's money. And so certainly want to make sure, I'd love to get a report, so when we do this again, because we do it every 4 years or 5 years, something like that, when we do it again, we'll know. I want to make sure that all banks that's part of this is banks that are friendly to the taxpayers of Hamilton County, because all of us are stretching these dollars now. And I want to make sure that these are banks that recognize when you get a county contract, a lot of times you could go to the bank and borrow against the contract to be able to get access to working capital, all those things that came out in the different studies that we had. Want to make sure, obviously, that there's no redlining and all those kind of things. So I think we did a good job when I look at the banks, but just getting a report back as we look at it in the future would be very helpful. But I do want to, I see a lot more diversification of the list, and I wanted to compliment the treasurer on that.
Thank you. And I have reached out to the treasurer about this item and asked her for that report that you're referring to, and trying to figure out, it's hard to know if any of these are minority-owned banks. And so just a more detailed report on what's new here and what the translation of that is for our policies.
Yeah, thank you very much. The other item I wanted to bring attention to is item number 8, which I will support. This is another item at Paycor Stadium, the South Scoreboard, overcoating, keeping all these things up to par, $207,990. Just wanted to highlight that we're still working to keep everything up to par per the existing contract. In addition, there is another item that is our contract on item number 18 is a resolution approving collective bargaining agreement, which is very important to me, and I know the board as well. And so we've got an agreement that we would be approving with Local 20, representing the trades. So I just wanted to bring some highlights to those. That's it.
Thank you. All right, without further comment, I'm going to move that we approve of consent agenda items 4 through 25.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Thank you. Without anything further, we
I
have
have one
something in
thing
front
for
of us.
us.
Yes.
Yeah.
please.
I was reading and hearing just yesterday about our babies are dying at the hospitals at a higher rate. Our numbers were good for a while, but now specifically more black babies are dying, which is unheard of at this day and time. So I don't know if it's the health of the mother, I don't know if it's the hospital itself or what's going on, but I want us to get in front of it. And when I say that, I know we used to have like Cradle Cincinnati come and talk or whatever. And so, Madam President, I'm just wondering how we can get somebody either from Public Health or maybe somebody from UC or Cradle Cincinnati to come in and talk about what is going on in that area.
I think we have been in conversations with Cradle Cincinnati. Kevin, I'm looking at you. Do we have them on the schedule? We do. When are they coming in? Not to put you on the spot. But he's going to be put on the spot. He knows the answer. So did you say the 6th of September? Oh, in September, we will be doing a report out from Cradle, specifically on what you're talking about, and also they have a recognition ceremony that we always host here, so they're coming.
I'm just wondering, can we get anybody else in quicker, because the numbers are high now, and so I don't, September.
Happy to bring anybody in that you would like, if you want somebody from public health, or do you want specifically Cradle to come
No,
in?
it doesn't have to be Cradle. We
Okay.
can do Cradle in September.
Okay, well, we'll work with you, to bring that in more quickly. Okay, great, thank you. All right, anything further? All right, I'm going to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.